we're making a simple animal. So we'll do a circle or an oval for the head, and then a more squared off shape for the body. I'm going to make an owl with two little tufts for ears. You could really use this same pattern for a cat, a bear, really anything using this basic shape. Then we're going to cut out the shapes that we need from felt. I'm also going to add eyes to my owl and a beak and a heart shape. All the shapes that you want, you should draw it ahead of time. So I'll cut 2 of the eyes, 1 of the beak, 1 of the heart, and then 2 of the larger shapes, so I have a front and a back. Now that we've cut out all of our shapes from the paper, we can cut them out of fabric. So you might want red, pink, yellow for the heart. Some shapes you could pin to the fabric, but other shapes are so small, I'm just going to take my marker again and trace around my paper shape in order to cut it out. And as long as I put it marker side down when I sew it, it doesn't matter that there's a little bit of marker on this shape. Now that my shapes are cut out, a front and a back, the heart, the beak, and the circles for the eyes, I did cut smaller circles for the center of the eyes and put them on. You can start adding any decoration you like now. You could add a small belly, you could add extra circles to the eyes. Let me show you how that will look. So first you would sew on a belly if you had one. You don't have to. If you had extra circles you wanted to add, you could place those down next and sew around them. And then you would add each circle on top of that for the eyes. So that's a lot of sewing. You may just want to stick with the original eyes and beak without all this extra detail, but I wanted to show you what you could do with it. Once all of these items are sewn together, that's when you finally place it onto the second piece and sew that together and add a little bit of stuffing. So let me show you first how to sew all of these pieces on, and finally how to sew and stuff it so you have a cute little owl. When you finish stitching a certain area, as I finished stitching the heart, which was my next step after the belly, you're going to want to end on the back of the fabric and make a knot. How you make a knot, you can do it a couple of different ways. You can make a circle with the thread and put the needle through and pull that down so it's flat. So you have a loop on one side and a string on the other. Then you hold your finger down and pull it and make sure that it makes a knot right next to the fabric. Another way that you can tie a knot in the back of fabric is to push your needle through a little bit, only halfway, and then wrap the extra thread 3 times around the point of the needle. Then pull all the way through and you will have a knot in the back of your fabric. After that, you can cut the thread off and continue sewing. Once all of your pieces are sewn together on one side of the fabric, you will take the other piece, the back piece, and sew it using a little bit different method around the edges. And then you'll need some kind of stuffing or fabric scraps to fill it with. So let me show you the method of sewing around the edges. You'll need to thread the needle as you have been doing with a nice knot at the end. Make sure your fabric pieces are together with the marker side in so you don't see that. Start wherever you like, but maybe decide now where you want the opening to be. Perhaps the opening is on the bottom, so I'll start a little bit on the edge here. I'll go through one piece of fabric so that my knot will be tucked away on the inside and no one will see it. And then this time I'll go around the edge. So my needle will go through the same side every time. So this is unlike the stitch we've been doing before, where I went through the back and then the front. Now I'm only going through the back edge continuously. So that is called a whip stitch, and that's going to go all the way around the owl, leaving a small gap in the bottom to fill with stuffing. It's very important that the stitching around your edges is very tight and close together so that you're able to put in the stuffing without any of it leaking out the sides. When you reach the ends of your thread while sewing around the outside, it's easy enough to tie it again by making a circle. You can go ahead and put the tip of the needle through. You'll have a straight on one side and a loop on the other, and then pull that down and cut off the extra. When you go ahead and stuff this, you're going to want to take small pieces of stuffing at a time to get into the edges. So you want to get all the way up into the little ears of the owl and just completely stuff that before stitching up the final edge. So here I can hold that edge together and stitch it shut, and I'll have a perfectly wonderful little owl. You can add a ribbon on top to make it an ornament and stitch that in place, or you can just have it as a small decoration. If I do want the owl to stand up instead of laying down, I could cut a small extra oval and stitch that onto the bottom, and then the owl will actually stand up. So that's up to you if you want to make it a flat owl or a more three-dimensional owl, but the method is the same. You either stitch the ends shut using that whip stitch going around the edge, always going through the same side, or you can stitch all the way around a small little oval that you cut out of fabric to make it stand up. Make sure to tie your thread at the beginning and end every time, or else everything will just sadly fall apart. A paper pattern, we can make this cute owl. Now the bottom is all stitched on, the owl can stand on its own. I hope you enjoyed today and that you will try sewing in the future. Thank you so much.